Disclaimer: I am not an expert on any of these things, and especially shamanism and the Sami people are two topics that I am not qualified to talk about. This video is mostly meant as a comedic property. I have the utmost respect for the Sami people and their spiritual practices, and I apologize for any gross oversimplification and jokes I make at their expense. So, we all know Santa Claus, right? He comes through your chimney, eats your cookies and drinks your milk like some sort of prepubescent home invader. But do you also know that Santa's classic red and white look might be based on a hallucinogenic mushroom? That's crazy, right? I mean, it's pretty common knowledge that Santa's look was invented by Coca-Cola. Except it wasn't. The Coca-Cola company wasn't even founded until 1892. Meanwhile, here's a picture from Thomas Nast from 1881. Would you even be able to tell this isn't from today? I mean, yeah, probably, because of all the weird shit. What is this, some sort of pipe? And is this a fucking sword? Jesus, you better watch out indeed. Regardless, Red Santa is probably much older. Maybe even much older. Let's look at some of the attributes of our favorite Yuletide enslaver. It is generally agreed that Santa dresses in red and white. He flies across the crisp winter night sky on a sled pulled by reindeer. He comes into your house via the chimney and carries a big bag of presents, which are usually wrapped in red wrapping paper, tied with white ribbons. Aforementioned presents will be tenderly deposited under a Christmas tree before he quickly leaves, lest some young child awakening at early hours might see something they cannot unsee.
Christmas. Ho, ho, ho.
So let's first look at Santa's iconic clothing. Who else wears red and white, except a laboratory assistant covered in raspberry jam? Naturally, the shamans of the Sami people of northern Scandinavia and Siberia. Obviously, a Sami shaman, in short sashimi, were and are a kind of spiritual leader of the Sami people. They were healers and also mediators between the living and the dead, the corporeal and the spiritual, the ancestors and the present day people. One of their jobs was to collect mushrooms and other things of spiritual significance. One of the most important things in the spiritual practices of the Sami and many other shamanic cultures is the trance. A kind of altered state of consciousness that allows the shaman to travel into the world of the ancestors, the spirits and the dead. Usually this is achieved with a drum, but especially in some Siberian communities, psychedelic plants are used, and among those is this cute little toadstool, the Amanita muscaria, also known as fly agaric. The fly agaric is a red and white mushroom most common to the northern hemisphere. The name fly agaric probably comes from its use as an insecticide. Sprinkled in milk, it was apparently used to kill flies and similar household pests. Though according to some cultural anthropologists, the name fly agaric has to do with its entheogenic nature, as it could make the spirits of the shamans fly into lower planes of existence, such as the realm of the dead. The red and white is probably what made Sami shamans wear red and white garments in order to honor this important mushroom. When it got harvested, the Sami used fly agaric as a hallucinogenic drug. Collected in the autumnal forests of Siberia, the shamans would bring this prehistoric stimulant into the huts of the people living in their communities. But if you've ever been to Siberia, then you know that they have a lot of snow. Like a ton of the stuff. It's no wonder that the Sami are also credited with having invented skis. This is, by the way, where those pointy shoes the Christmas elves and other fairy tale creatures are often depicted wearing come from. They're called nutuka, and you use the curled front to slip into the bindings of the skis. Anyway, we were talking about snow. Northern Eurasia has a lot of snow. So much snow in fact that according to some scholars, the Sami hut's main entrance would be completely covered in snow, so that the main entry and exit of the home would be at the roof, sometimes even through the chimney. It is common in a lot of pagan religions, especially in and around Europe, for spirits to enter and leave the house through the chimney. And so the shaman enters the hut to bring, well, a bunch of mushrooms. I mean, it's not the best Christmas present, but hey, it's ancient Siberia. They didn't like have any Xboxes or something lying around. Before the mushrooms were consumed, they often were dried on strings hung above the fireplace, sometimes stuffed into socks also. Eerily similar to the Christmas stockings that we hang up for Christmas. Another contributor to the legend is that reindeers apparently love the stuff. They eat it all the time. And wouldn't you know it, the Sami herd reindeer. It's an important part of their culture. So the reindeer would eat the mushrooms and go crazy high, jumping around, rolling and stuff. And apparently a good way of getting the drug parts of Flyer-Garrick without any of the poison parts is to use the reindeer as the prehistoric equivalent of a life straw and drink their pee. It's not in Siberia, okay? There's like a combined 7 things that exist, and you gotta spend your time somehow. So the drugged reindeer herders would see the drugged reindeer jumping around and stuff, and so the legend of flying reindeer came to be. Or not, who knows. What about Christmas trees? Where do we put evergreen trees in our living room and put red and white presents under them? Flyer-Garrick, obviously. Haven't you been paying attention the last 5 or so minutes? That's literally all I talked about. Jesus Christ. Flyer-Garrick usually grows in symbiotic relationships with pine, spruce and fir trees, so that's why you put trees in a house and presents under them. You think that's a little far-fetched? Maybe. Probably. The Germanic people of Europe also had shamans. They even had a shaman god, Wotan, or most of you will probably know him as Odin. Many of the spiritual practices of the Slavs, Celts, Germans and Balts of continental Europe originate from much further north, as some scholars assume. So it's no surprise that there is some overlap between the Paleo-Siberian myths and the myths of European woodland cultures. Though the Celts probably didn't use Flyer-Garrick, it was apparently used by the Germans, and for the Eastern Europeans, well, we all know you guys are crazy about mushrooms. So once a year, Odin would lead his wild hunt across the sky, his 8-legged horse Sleipnir dropping red blood and white foam from its mouth. Wherever the blood and foam dropped, there would grow Flyer-Garrick in 9 months' time. Since Odin is the god of shamans, German shamans would eat those shamanic mushrooms in order to do their shamaning better. To add another layer of confusion and bring this thing full circle, Odin shares a lot of attributes of Santa Claus, such as the beard, the bringing of gifts, the knowledge of if you are good or bad, and that he crossed the sky during Yule. And is it just a coincidence that Odin's horse has 8 legs and Santa has 8 reindeer? Is 8 just a very neat number for mammalian aviation? Or is there more to it? Now, there was a lot of crackpot theories and half-baked connections. Do I have any sources or proof for these outrageous statements? Not really.